As an IO psychologist, I have always wanted to understand the behavior of people. In this video, I'm going to discuss workplace violence while sharing the story of Snochia Moseley. Have you ever been advised to leave your personal problems at home and to not bring them to the workplace? It's something that's easier said than done. Our professional and personal lives often overlap with one another. Keeping our personal lives outside of the workplace is about as likely as not thinking about work at home. Industrial and organizational psychologists are tasked with understanding the behavior of employees in the workplace. Our job is to apply psychological principles to improve the overall work environment. Unfortunately, workplace violence is a possibility wherever there are people and a workplace. It is to a company's benefit to be proactive rather than reactive in these cases. So today I want to look at Snochia Moseley's case to try to understand what happened and what can be learned from this tragedy. Snochia Moseley's case is unique. Statistically, women are far less likely to participate in any type of violence and even more less likely to engage in violence in the workplace. According to Statista.com, there have been 123 mass shootings in the U.S. between 1982 and 2021. Mass shootings are defined as a single attack in a public place in which 4 or more victims did not survive. Out of these 123 shootings, only 3 were initiated by women, less than 3% of all shooters. Snochia Moseley was a temporary worker at a Rite Aid distribution center. She was only 26 years old when she opened fire at the distribution center. Her friends from high school said she was often alone and sometimes felt the world was against her, but they didn't think she was an angry person. They were shocked to learn she was the shooter. One of her friends said he believed it was emotional distress and that perhaps it was just her last straw. Snochia struggled with her identity. Public records show she identified as a female, but her friends said she was in the process of becoming a transgender man and was considering hormone treatments. She wasn't sure how her family would receive the news, but she was encouraged when she revealed the news to her siblings, and they were supportive of her. However, she was still hesitant to share the news with her mother. Her family and friends didn't mention if her struggle with her identity and being open with those closest to her may have contributed to her feelings of isolation. However, studies have shown that family rejection, social isolation, and loneliness are predictors of negative health outcomes, such as depression and high-risk behaviors. Issues that are not uncommon in the LGBTQ community. Snochia went to Overly High School, which is in Baltimore County. She graduated in 2011 and enrolled in community college, where she attended classes on and off until 2015. She was young and had her whole life ahead of her. Snochia was a registered gun owner and she did not have a criminal record. She did have run-ins with the police, though. Snochia, who may have been mistaken as a young black male, would often get pulled over by the police. Over the period of 6 days before the shooting, Snochia was pulled over by the Baltimore police at least 3 times. A few months before that, Snochia was sued by the Baltimore County Office of Budget and Finance for $117. It was not known why she was being sued for that amount of money. One of her friends, who had known Snochia since elementary school, said she was shy and artistic. She liked to express herself through her writing and had even written some manuscripts. Snochia's girlfriend at the time of the shooting said Snochia struggled with mental illness. She had bursts of anger and prior to the shooting had started to hear voices. The girlfriend said Snochia was not on any medication, however, and she was a registered gun owner. She did obtain the gun legally, but did not disclose she had any mental illnesses. However, in Baltimore, a mental illness does not automatically disqualify a person from legally purchasing a gun. Snochia lived with her girlfriend, and allegedly they were experiencing financial issues. Almost everyone interviewed about Snochia's background said she was a nice person, but may have been experiencing a great deal of stress. There is nothing to justify the lives she took that day, but I think it's also important to learn what we can from these situations in order to try to prevent them from happening again. We don't have any way of knowing for sure what all happened in Snochia's life to lead her to that outcome. The people who were in her life said she felt alone and isolated. She worried about being accepted as a transgender person. Some may argue that she was used to being harassed by the police. Perhaps she had financial issues that she couldn't quite seem to dig her way out of. We know that there are reports that show she was frequently stopped by the police, which resulted in receiving tickets and even lawsuits for small amounts of money. She allegedly also had an untreated mental illness. Again, nothing she experienced justifies what happened. However, could those things possibly have been enough for Snochia to snap? Possibly. Snochia was a young woman, in many ways still trying to figure out her life. If she was struggling financially and had a mental illness, that may have only added fuel to the fire. Snochia had only been working as a temporary employee at the Rite Aid distribution center for 2 weeks. The night before the shooting, her girlfriend said she heard Snochia saying a prayer before they went to bed. According to her, Snochia said that would be her last prayer. Her girlfriend thought she meant for the night, but she said looking back on it later, she wondered if Snochia had planned out what she was going to do the night before. According to the girlfriend, Snochia never gave any indication that she would hurt anyone, but she did worry that she would harm herself. Although some people close to Snochia knew she was struggling with what appeared to be some serious symptoms of mental illness, no one who was interviewed mentioned trying to get Snochia any help before the incident. It can be incredibly difficult to get help for adults, however, if they aren't willing to participate in that process. There was no record of Snochia being a danger to herself or to others. Her family and friends may not have known for sure how to help her exactly. However, some say Snochia had reached out several times for help with her mental illness. Her girlfriend felt a tremendous amount of guilt over what Snochia did, something she never forgave herself for. The girlfriend was asleep when Snochia got up to leave for work. Snochia arrived to work on time, about 6:30 a.m. She even started her shift. The employees there that day said they didn't expect anything. They described Snochia as quiet and she was usually nice. One person said she did seem more sullen than usual that morning, but not to the point where they feared she would do anything. They thought perhaps she was just having a bad day. Besides, they really didn't know her that well. She had only been working there a short time. She obviously had built some type of relationship with some of the employees, though. Another individual said he was completely shocked to learn she was the shooter. Allegedly, Snochia had an argument with another employee over an hour after arriving for work. Witnesses say the argument may have been about pay. Snochia was seen leaving the facility to go to her car. Investigators believe that is when she most likely retrieved her gun. She headed back to the facility around 9 a.m. and then started shooting. Witnesses said it didn't appear she had a target. She was just shooting at anyone who got in her way. 6 people were shot. 2 of them died on the scene. 4 were transported to the hospital where another victim succumbed to their injuries. The first call to 911 occurred at 9:06 a.m. The police arrived at 9:09 a.m. By the time they had arrived, Snochia had a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. She later died of the injury at the hospital. No matter how many workplace shootings we experience in America, we are always left with asking why. Human life is complicated, though, and the answers to these questions are rarely clear-cut. The truth is, a variety of circumstances can lead to these horrendous outcomes. I think when the shooter kills themselves, it adds another layer of complexity because there isn't anyone to ask what was the purpose. There usually isn't anyone alive left to blame. There is no justice to be found. The case is closed, but the answers are not fully ever given. What's more, the question becomes, can this happen again? Once upon a time, we didn't think of the workplace or school environments as being unsafe or potentially being the breeding ground for gun violence. We expected that type of violence to happen on dangerous street corners, perhaps late at night. Times have changed, though. I think we need to do away with the idea that what affects us at work can't affect us in our homes and vice versa. Whether a person is struggling with mental illness or not, our personal lives can affect our work lives. Our work lives can affect our home life. Our private lives can affect our public lives. I think this is apparent in Snochia's case. Not only can our personal lives affect our professional lives, but they can also affect the lives of others. This is why I think even in the work environment, we need to pay attention to others. If something doesn't feel right, then we have to stay aware of it. We can't afford to be in our own little bubble. Although we are all responsible for our own actions, we have to also have the responsibility of paying attention to what's going on around us. I am starting a series about real-life stories that happen in the workplace. Life issues don't stop or go on hold just because people are at work. I think we are going to hear about a lot of crazy stories in this series. If you have any personal crazy workplace stories you would like to share, please do leave a comment. If you heard about a story that happened in the workplace that you would like for me to dig more into, go ahead and leave your suggestions below. If you would like to follow the series, Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post new content. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting, as it does help to push it out to more people. I look forward to sharing the next workplace story with you. I'll see you next time.